It's another week here on The Good Life, and I'm your host, Amita Persaud-Webb. We've been on a hair journey before where we explored hair care and restoration. On this episode, we will delve further to explore hair loss along with surgical and non-surgical ways to restore hair. We visited the Hair Loss Clinic of Jamaica and spoke with founder Dr. Alexander about what some people say is your best accessory, your hair. Stay with us.
I'm Dr. Jennifer Mambi Alexander, the founder of the Hair Loss Clinic of Jamaica. The Hair Loss Clinic of Jamaica was founded by me about 5 years ago, and it was my personal revenge against hair loss. When I was living in the United States and I had just completed my residency, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So after the treatment was complete, I returned to Jamaica, and I had still had some hair loss from the chemotherapy I had received for my treatment. I chose to wear a wig to disguise the fact that I had hair loss. But when my hair started to regrow, it regrew very unevenly. So I chose to go to a hairdresser to have her help me. And after she convinced me that it was okay for me to take off my wig, and I did, there were two of her clients there who laughed at me, and I was extremely embarrassed at that time because the hair loss I was experiencing was not my fault, but was something that was out of my control. So it was then that I decided that I would seek some revenge against hair loss. I went to the United States and learned the skill of hair restoration through hair transplants and other procedures, and then became a member of the International Society for Hair Restoration Surgeries, and eventually opened the clinic in Jamaica in 2010. We are the only clinic of its kind in Jamaica, and I think in the English-speaking Caribbean. So we're unique, and we've brought this very special skill to Jamaica, where for the first time there is a clinic that offers hair transplants and total hair restoration by other means.
How many of us think about what hair really is? According to Dr. Mambi, in order to take the best care of one's hair, there are a few important points to note.
Hair actually is a protein, and the hair that we see on the outside, on our skin and on our head, is dead. Meaning that when you cut your hair, you feel no pain. But it is connected to what is called, what everybody thinks of as a root, that is embedded under the skin, just like a plant has a root that's embedded in the earth. So hair restoration is like agriculture. If you plant a hair with a root and you water it, fertilize it, it grows. Well, a healthy lifestyle promotes hair growth. In particular, I make reference to children or persons who are malnourished, and they have very brittle hair, and they will experience some sort of hair loss or hair breakage. So a good lifestyle is very important for hair growth. There are several reasons why we lose hair. First of all, hair grows in cycles. So there's a growth period, there's a resting period, and there's a period where the hair sheds naturally. So that occurs. Now, I must emphasize that at birth, we're born with all the hair we'll ever have through life. After birth, we produce no more hair, we grow no more hair. So if you are born with 100,000 hairs on your head, that's it. If you remove those 100,000 hairs during life, you're not going to produce anymore. So we need to know that, and we have to be very careful about the way we treat our hair. One of the ways we lose hair is just through natural aging. And men and women experience some sort of thinning of hair after about the age of 35. What makes this worse is if you have a family history of hair loss. So if you have an uncle, an aunt, grandparents, brothers or sisters with hair loss, the possibility of you getting that family history of hair loss will make it a little bit worse for you on top of the aging process. So we'll find that men and women who have a family history of hair loss, they come in complaining that their hair loss started early, in their late teens and sometimes in their 20s. There are other reasons for hair loss like medication. Women take some birth control pills, can cause hair loss. Some treatments for high blood pressure can cause hair loss. And there are some diseases like lupus. There's a special hair loss that's associated with that in some persons with this disease. There's also hair loss related to burns. And there are persons who, and children in particular, who are exposed to chemical burns or burns from hot water, hot oil. And this actually produces devastating hair loss for a child because they end up with scar tissue and have to live with that. And you know what it's like to be teased when you're in school with hair loss from scarring. The first one shows 3 follicular units, hairs with roots deeply inserted into the skin. In children in particular, when bubbles or scrunchies are used on a regular basis, I've shown here that these 2 that are constantly being pulled, the roots are now being pulled closer to the surface. And as this continues month after month, eventually the roots are pulled out. For women, we are guilty because we do lots of things to our hair. We relax, we weave, we glue on extensions, we wear tight ponytails, tight buns, scrunches, and all of that over a period of time eventually will pull the roots out. And as I explained before, when the roots are taken out, they're gone forever. Unfortunately, that also happens to children. And there are parents and caregivers who insist on doing a hairstyle in a child to last for a week or 2. And for it to last that long, it's done very tight. And it's repeated at the end of the week. And that pulling and that continuous pulling on those areas will produce permanent hair loss in children.